This episode is brought to you by Columbia Sportswear. It's snowing again, and that wind chill is killer. But you're not worried about that because you shop the Omni Heat Infinity Collection. It's warmth perfected with tiny gold dots that reflect your body heat inside and protect you from the cold outside. No snow or chilly temps can stop you now. Go out anyway. Shop the Omni Heat Infinity Collection now at Columbia.com/infinity.
The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
Reboot your credit card with Apple Card, the credit card created by Apple. It gives you unlimited daily cash back that you can now choose to grow in a high-yield savings account that's built right into the Wallet app. Apply for Apple Card now in the Wallet app on iPhone and start growing your daily cash with savings today. Apple Card subject to credit approval. Savings is available to Apple Card owners subject to eligibility requirements. Savings accounts provided by Goldman Sachs Bank USA. Member FDIC. Terms apply.
Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans.
They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer, whiskey, wine or gin. Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another shade of blue. This episode is brought to you by the Left Back Temp Agency. Are you looking for seasonal work, even month to month? Positions are open as long as you like. Seth Sinovic is ready to replace you. Left Back Temp Agency. Don't find yourself out of position. Please go subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. The Blue Testament, we would very much appreciate it. My name is Cody Bradley. I dropped my phone, and Thad Bell, Robert Russert, and David Greenwald are all laughing at me. Hold on, I'm going to bend down and pick it up.
You're starting this pod like you're a defender on Sporting.
Oh.
Fumbling at the beginning.
I'd just like to point out, the ad read was one take. Killed it. But this is the third time we've been back at it again.
Come on. Dang it.
We're back at it again.
I don't mess up ad reads. I nail those.
Yeah, well done, Cody. You could be a professional.
0-0 draw. Sporting KC's on the board. 1 point in Colorado. No goals yet on the season. I am frustrated. I have things that I can say. I feel like people are used to us being too nice about the team. I'm very frustrated, probably for different reasons, and people are yelling on Reddit and Twitter and the like. But Thad, why don't you start us? You're normally the most level-headed. Things aren't going well right now. How are you feeling?
Perturbed.
Wow. He was ready for that one.
I knew where you were going to go with it, man, so I just had a word. I was going to say annoyed, irritated, but no, I liked perturbed.
Perturbed. For Robert, who I'm not sure knows what that means, can you explain that to our listeners?
More or less annoyed and irritated.
I know what it means. I just figured Robert maybe didn't know. I just wanted
annoyed.
to help
No,
Robert.
I taught
annoyed.
English for 25 years. I think I know what perturbed means.
Wow.
Why are you perturbed, Thad?
Judging from some of the teachers I've met, I'm not counting on that, Robert. I have faith in you, though. Perturbed because Sporting should have played better they've started poorly. They need to shoot on goal, not at that guy standing like a tree in the middle.
Oh, my gosh. A tree had a shutout.
He made a couple of good saves, especially later in the game. But how many shots now has Sporting put directly at the keeper? Not even. I mean, they're well placed. They got in the right spot, but they didn't make a move other than put their hands to the size of a ball and catch.
Double figures, 11 last night. Yep.
Yeah.
He had 11 saves.
11 shots on target.
Oh, okay. Did he get a save for the one that Shallowy shot outside? Like he saved it and went out for a corner kick, but it was just going to be a goal kick anyway.
Yes.
Does he get a save for that?
Yes.
God,
Yes.
the way soccer treats keepers, I will never understand it.
They're special.
Yes, they are. Clearly.
All right. So how are you feeling, Cody? Are you perturbed as well?
Yes, I am. Well, so how about you said that about they should have played better? I'm not sure that this lineup with the available players should be playing all that much better. There were times in that game where it felt like Eric Tommy was the only player we had on the field that could do anything, that looked capable of doing anything. It felt like nobody wanted the ball. It was like they were just playing around with it until Tommy got it because he was the only one that wanted to do something.
I think Remy played well in both games. Not spectacular. I think the first game he played actually pretty well most of the game.
Yeah.
Tommy, like you said, I mean, Zusi has been good and bad. Espinosa's been good and bad.
I could tell you what is wrong.
Shallowy's been invisible most part. Agada has not been. I mean, other than a couple moments, which is, for striker, sometimes you really only need one moment in a game, but that's when you score. But he just seems like every ball went to him. Exaggeration, but it seems like a lot of balls went to him has been flubbed, mishandled, not received well. Just nothing happened from them.
Yeah, you're talking about Agada, correct?
Right.
Yeah, I was really frustrated by him last night. And his passing as well. I do see a lot of people saying that they have to get him involved more, but I agree. He had moments where the first touch let him down. He had a couple passes that just absolutely blew my mind. One, he missed Daniel on a what should have been an open breakaway. And it just looked like it was the first pass he had ever played before. And and it just seemed like everyone on the field, even Tommy at times, was just, I don't know. It was just, the team just didn't have it. It didn't feel like the Sporting that I normally love.
And I know there's been a lot of years in the past where a team would create 30 shots and score one goal, and we could complain about their shooting, but quite honestly, a lot of those were like high, wide, and stuff like that. They got a decent amount of shots, put most of them right at the keeper, and only made him really try on a couple of them.
And that's what I mean. We did that pod last week where it's like, oh, they dominated the game, they should have won, they had the chances, blah blah blah, and we always talk about that though. That we're optimists and we hang our hat on those things. But that's what I mean. This game was different from that. It never felt like that they were going to threaten. And also it felt like a good team would have just absolutely punished them. And they could have lost 4-0 to a good team last night.
Sporting normally, even against Colorado, has a better possession. They had 40% possession. They were outpassed by Colorado. Just not what we expect from this team. I mean, they're not going to outpossess every team, especially on the road, but it's Colorado. And despite outshooting them, the expected goals was 1.7 for Colorado, 0.7 for Sporting. And the 1.7 for Colorado doesn't even count the one that was offside.
Well, what's crazy about that is, 11 shots on target. Shots overall was 17?
Yep.
And our expected goals is that low. So what does that tell you? It tells you that we're not getting in good positions for those shots. We're not doing a great job of getting in zone 17 and getting good opportunities in there. If you look at the shot breakdown, Colorado was in zone 17 inside the box much more often than we were as far as getting shots off in there. And the ones we had in there, again, were not easy ones. And, of course, we hit them right at the keeper. So,
David.
Normally, getting a point on the road is not a bad thing. But it's 2 weeks in a row where they seemed like they were winnable games, where the team has played sloppily and kind of lethargic.
Especially at the beginning.
They were lethargic. That's what I didn't like.
And I thought they grew into the game a little bit into the second half. Like from the 45 to about 70-minute mark, we actually looked, I think, better, more dangerous. But a lot of this is that our buildup is extremely slow and relies very heavily on Eric Tommy to just kind of dribble around and create magic. What made Willy Agada so dangerous last year was not that he's some sort of wizard with the ball at his feet, but that he makes clever runs. And so Tommy could get the ball to Shallowy out wide, who could put a dangerous cross in the box, and Willy could split defenders and find that space.
And just tap it in.
And he's been playing with his back to goal a lot. We're not getting him service. So I don't know that he should be playing back to goal as much as he is, but he's not getting service. You remember Dwyer Island? We've got Agada Island. He's just kind of up there by himself.
And then when he does come back and get the ball, his hold-up play or the next pass he would make wasn't working.
Right. Well, I actually think that was better last night than it was against Portland. But, I mean, what you're saying, David, is other teams are not allowing Willy the space he used to have last year. You know, they've wised up a little bit, and they're making him play a little more that way and making Sporting play a little more that way.
I would just like to say, I mentioned that exact point last season about Agada whenever he was everyone's hero and savior, and I took some heat for that I just said I wasn't sold on him yet, and when the league adjusts, things could be different, and I'm very nervous. That's what we're seeing right now.
See, I think it's more self-inflicted errors than other teams forcing it to play that way, because for a decade, other teams have forced us to funnel the ball out wide. And we've talked ad nauseum about, the endless crosses to nowhere. Because teams are less dangerous out wide than they are in zone 12 or zone 17. You want to keep them out of the box and you want to keep them out of the top of the box. But I think this is we don't have Johnny, so we haven't had the most dangerous right wing. Shallowy's been largely invisible. I think part of the problem for Shallowy is that he's also not getting service. That other than Eric Tommy, Remy's played well, but has not been as aggressive, has not been able to shuttle the ball forward. He's not been able to make dangerous line-breaking passes. Roger has largely been a passenger for 2 games. And our defense has been bad. And so much of what we've been able to do for the last few years is that Fontes is a dangerous passer. Zusi being able to hit those long diagonal switches to help, open things up. And we're just not seeing that.
Back to Agada, I do think it is more self-inflicted. Some of it, at least, is self-inflicted. And I think at moments, like, I was kind of watching him almost obsessively a little bit. And, there was one that he was called offsides for a point-blank shot, a ricochet, that went right at the keeper as well. And I know maybe that's a little bit of ball doesn't lie, but then when you combine that with some of the look of some of those passes he was making, that it's almost like he's lost confidence and he's like almost got the yips at the moment. And that makes me nervous. And I'm more than ready for Polito to get out there.
Okay, so going back to crosses you mentioned, we had 12 crosses last night. We had 30 against Portland. And we had a lot more shots against Colorado, a lot of them outside of the box. So what does that tell us about those 2 different games? What's that tell you?
Tell us. Why don't you tell us?
No, I'm asking you guys.
So Portland scored early and packed it in. Right. And Portland, by and large, likes to play compact counterattacking football, or soccer. So once Portland's got a lead, they've got Williamson and Chara in a double pivot sitting right in front of their back line. And so it's really tough to get anywhere in the middle of the box. The Colorado game was pretty open. They were playing very direct, long balls over the top, and were stretching us. And that partly led to them getting sucked in over the top too. And, it was just a much more open game. It's kind of how I saw it.
David, you mentioned no Johnny, and I will run down the entire lineup and tell you guys what is wrong with every single player if you want me to.
Let's do it.
But
start with the subs.
But no, let's look at the position that it seems to me that is what we are missing the most part. I know we need a center back. That's been addressed. That's coming. But the attack is the one thing we weren't worried about this year, I thought, right? That we were supposed to be able to create stuff. And without Johnny out there, it is not looking good. So I think everyone was pleased to see Giannis get a go instead of Khiry. But I'm not sure how well it worked out. Where are you guys at with Giannis versus Khiry on the right wing?
Can I say something else before we go there?
Sure.
Okay, back to what we were talking about. So Tommy and Agada, if you look at the player positions on WhoScored.com, we're just about on top of each other all night, playing a lot of the similar spaces. And again, Tommy playing on that left over there with Shallowy. Shallowy actually tucked in and played a little more defensively, if you saw that. But that's the thing I think that was taken away from Agada as well, is that Tommy and him were in a lot of the similar spaces trying to attack into. And they just weren't able to work out how to work together because it was more of a 4-4-2 attack last night than it was a 4-3-3.
And Vermees was yelling instructions and positions for Agada the entire game.
Yeah.
So before we move on to something else, I just want to ponder a very negative question. We were talking about Agada last year, and you were worried about, people would learn him and stuff like that. And nobody did over that however many games he was playing, which they should have been able to adapt to him. So they kept the scoring going with him. Did Sporting train the goodness out of Agada and Tommy in preseason?
That's not a bad point, actually.
Because
train the goodness out of them.
It probably wasn't the best grammar.
Too much into the system is what you mean?
Yeah, because they were just having to play kind of naturally last year because they didn't have a lot of time to adapt and learn, and there was a lot of games and all that. So there wasn't as much training time. But with a full preseason, did the system basically change them to being less effective?
No, Tommy's
a possibility.
Good. Tommy's fine. He just needed one other person with some creativity on the field to help him out last night. Are you not pleased with Tommy?
Well, I'm not pleased with anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, at the moment, let's just say I'm not in the panic mode of, they're going to be terrible all season, because things change. One player getting into the lineup versus another, Remy starting at the 8 instead of the 6 when the Kinda and Radoja, or however you say that.
That was good. Very good.
That was confident.
Well done.
Confident.
When he gets in there, who knows what that's going to change. Also, Johnny getting back on the field, a new center back, a little more confidence there. Who knows what changes everything. And no team basically goes through all 34 games the same way all year. So lots of things. I don't want to say I'm like panicking, like, they're going to be terrible all year. But I do want to see some improvement in the next game, the next game after that.
So to connect the Russell thing, so what Colorado was doing a lot was attacking our left side, Sweat and Fontes, and then switching it to the left side once they pulled our defense that side, okay? We do a similar thing, but Johnny's and Shelton have not been very effective on that right side in breaking down those advantages. So I think Russell's definitely going to help that when he comes back. But could be a couple weeks.
Giannis or Khiry?
Duke.
I was actually going to say Khiry.
Cam got out there last night.
All right, Robert, get out.
Okay, if it is a choice between Khiry or Giannis right now, the way the first 2 games went, I would side with Robert.
Get out. Get out.
I might also.
All of you, get out. Get out of my house. Here's my question. Why?
Giannis can't even stand up. He can't even stand on the field without falling over.
Well, several people had that problem apparently
Giannis
last
is
night.
clearly better on the ball. Clearly.
Yes.
But I think the simple way that Shelton plays gets Zuzi a little more involved. So I think that's a factor.
So we subbed Khiry in with about 20 minutes left in the game last night, and he promptly sucked.
His
the
first
worst.
2 touches were a horror.
Yes, they were.
His first touch was not a touch. He chose to not
He
touch
was
it.
Khiry Shelton.
And then his first touch was just terrible.
And at one point, he got the ball as we broke forward, and he had 3 runners to pick from, and instead stopped, turned sideways, dribbled to the middle of the field, and passed it backwards.
Okay, so is that better than Johnny's taking the ball and dribbling and everybody watching him dribble and then lose the ball?
Dancing around it, legs moving faster than his brain is working.
Yes, I would rather have Giannis because, one, he's more interested in attacking. He's more interested in actually doing something with the ball. 2, he's not a less capable or less willing defender than Khiry is. And, yeah, sometimes you just got to try shit.
Well, what Johnny's needs is a run of games.
Right.
Is what he needs.
Yeah.
Well, and that was my point about Russell coming back. We know what Johnny Russell is. We know he's good. The problem with this team is that, and the problem we had last year was that when we didn't have our DPs, we were really bad. Other teams can rotate. You can take out one good player and still be effective. LAFC is better with Carlos Vela, but they can win if he doesn't play. They can't win if he misses every game, but they can win if he rotates out.
They didn't win often when Ilya wasn't there, though.
Well, that just hurts my heart.
That's what I'm here for.
But, we need to be able to have capable backups.
Okay,
and we know what Khiry is. Here's the thing.
But
somebody said it on the match thread last night. Kyrie's best trait is that he's tall, except he's bad at being tall.
Yeah,
because he can't win headers. He's not good at winning balls in the air.
I'll sit here and criticize Khiry with you all day.
He's awful. He's absolutely awful. He's the worst player I've ever watched play. I'm not being hyperbolic. He's literally the worst player.
I think you are.
Yes.
I'm not. I'm not. We're going to play a game later with Cody where I'm just going to name people who may or may not have played for Sporting in the past, and I would take every single one of them over Khiry. Every single one. I would take half the trialists we've had in preseason because at least maybe
Yuri?
It'll get figured out. Yeah, I'd rather have Yuri. I would, because they are equally as likely to not score.
I understand the point about people being over the injury excuses. And David, you mentioned LAFC can win games without Vela. But that's one player. Is it an excuse or is it just a fact to mention that Sporting Kansas City were missing their 3 best players? That's one. I'm frustrated by the team. I thought they didn't do the things I want my team to normally do in that game last night. I'm frustrated that Kyrie's still playing. Individual players are frustrating me. All these things, but I'm not throwing my hands up at the whole organization that the season's done. We have 3 of our best players are going to be returning to the field soon.
Well, so I think there's 2 separate criticisms, right? There's your game criticism. How was the game managed? How was the game itself played? And then there's your organizational criticism. I think there is a very valid criticism that this team does not have meaningful depth.
At this point, yeah, after you lose your 3 best players, it is easy to say they have no depth.
We have no depth. We have no depth on the back line. And no team in this league.
Another key injury.
No team in this league can thrive missing all of their designated players. And every team's ceiling lowers if they miss one designated player.
Right.
But you look at other organizations and they've got better backups than we have. Right? I'm not expecting Marinos Tzionis to be as good as Johnny Russell. I'm not expecting Khiry Shelton, to be anything. But other teams have backups who are more capable.
And that specific example is maybe a swing and a miss. It's not that they didn't, the organization didn't try to. They spent significant funds on a U22 designated player, and yeah, maybe he's not working out.
I will go even deeper, David, and along the same lines. You can in my mind, run out Felipe Hernandez and Cam Duke 3, 4, 5 years from now, and they'll be the same player they are now, in my opinion.
I am exactly the same spot.
I don't see that they have anything more than an average soccer player, in my opinion.
This is what I said last year.
I could be wrong.
Another one. I'll take another victory lap.
I said this about Juan Kuzain years ago, and everybody kind of doubted what I said, and Sporting got rid of him. But I just don't see it. That's not quality depth in my mind. It's players who can be on the field and do okay.
I'm glad I wanted to talk about this because we asked the question of who we should bring back after last season. And I mentioned I would be okay if Felipe didn't come back. And I got thrown to bits for that one as well. And the 2 of them, we talk about Seattle's midfield all the time. We look at some of these other teams, they're on another level. And I think Felipe being in the mix is part of the reason why we look at our midfield and see other teams that are just infinitely ahead of us.
And why is Jake Davis still on the team? He still never plays.
He's a homegrown, so in terms
looks good.
It doesn't. The money doesn't count, right?
Right.
And that's the benefit for a guy like Felipe, right? Is I think Felipe does.
If you look at it that way,
if you have a homegrown who is replacement level, that's fine. because he hits the salary budget differently.
Sure.
He doesn't take up an international spot, and you're not expecting him to go be a starter for 34 games. But he's the guy that can sub in and get you minutes, or he can rotate out. So I see a value in a guy like Felipe, knowing that he's never going to be a megastar.
Right. If you look at it in an economic sense.
Serviceable MLS player, I guess,
Right.
is where he could be.
But
Which you can't have a full roster of guys who are starters. I mean,
No,
that
but
just
the
isn't
point
feasible.
was quality backups, where we started this
Which-
whole discussion.
Which I think Felipe is a quality backup.
Well, yes, you're right, but I think maybe the feeling I have, or the reason I say this, is because 5 years ago, it wasn't we're hoping he's a serviceable player. It was we hope he's the solution in the midfield for the next decade.
So what's a quality backup? A guy who comes in, you think, oh, he's going to really help us drive the game forward and score. I don't get that feeling with Felipe or Cam Duke. What's a quality backup?
Well, I think quality backup is, to me, the term means somebody who is not the starter, somebody who comes in to replace a guy who's injured or has to rest or whatever.
Okay,
and you don't lose very much, because if they're the guy who's going to drive a game, they're the starter.
Okay, well, let's look at Graham Zusi and Caden Pierre. And maybe this is an exception to the rule. But Caden Pierre brings something more to right back and, in a sense, elevates it from a different way that Zusi does when he comes in. To me, that's a quality
on the offensive
backup.
end.
Yeah. I mean, and he's going to grow defensively too.
Less
But I
so
think
on
that's a quality backup situation.
I think he's a quality backup. He brings something different than Zusi. I don't think
Yeah.
he brings something that elevates over Zusi right now. And I know, I mean, I'll get some
Certain
arguments.
aspects, I think he does.
And I think the terminology, I think we're just going to be arguing about the terminology. When you say elevate, that's somebody who's better. He's not better than Zusi. Let's say that may remain to be seen this year, but in last year, he was definitely not better than Zusi. He has faster.
Certain aspects he is.
He's faster.
Yeah.
But that's just certain aspects. I mean, you could
Is
probably list
Hernandez
20
better
different
than
traits
anybody in any sense? In my mind, no.
right now than Roger, I would say.
They're functionally the same player,
Right.
except Felipe's legs aren't going to fall off at the 55th minute. But here's
Roger's
my
a
point,
better
though.
passer.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is
At
he?
times. Yeah.
He spreads the ball better around the field, sure.
This year?
And-
These two,
and
and,
he
the,
has
and the game against Portland and the game last night, is he?
I saw at least one good pass from Roger last night that split the line, sent somebody on a run.
To Thad's point, and this was, I think, a big frustration for me last year, was I understand Vermees will run out the best guys to win every match, regardless of where we are, like whether we're in it or not. And that because of MLS playoffs letting almost everybody in, we technically could have gotten to the playoffs with a good run last year. But in a lost season, we kept trotting out our mid-30s players, dudes who are older than me, and did not get meaningful minutes for Felipe and Caden Pierre. Like, they got some minutes, but in a lost season, play Caden.
It wasn't lost. They
last
only
year
got
was a
eliminated on the final day of the season, and that was in a
but
mix
like-
of like 6 teams within 2 points of each other.
But like last year was a lost season.
It clearly wasn't.
It wasn't until the last couple
It clearly
of games.
wasn't.
I mean,
the
sure.
last game. Wasn't it the last game or the week before the last game?
I think it was the week before, but whichever. It doesn't. They were in it until
Yeah.
the near the end, but only because 2 guys came in and played and elevated the team.
Right.
Okay,
Elevated.
just to throw
Use
this
that
out
word
for
again.
fun, Espinosa's pass percentage was 68.6. Hernandez's was 50 in much shorter time, but I just want to throw that out there just for fun.
Point for Cody.
I mean, sample size.
I know.
Like,
I just throwing it out
that's
there
not
for
really-
fun.
But the other thing, and we can move on. But the other thing was, Cody, you said, maybe Tzionis is a miss. I'm
I
not
don't
willing
know.
to give up on
No,
Tzionis yet.
I didn't
want
mean
him,
that.
But I think it brings up an interesting point, though.
Right.
Again, we've talked about roster mechanisms and roster building, and you get 3 U22s. They hit the budget differently, but they are investment players. The whole point of it is to spend money, to flip them and make money, but also to get guys that are useful. And like LAFC brought in Jovic, who splits time with Chicharito, and he's banging in goals. LAFC has Cifuentes, who's going to get sold to the English Premier League. We've got Tzionis, who doesn't play. We've got Voloder, who looks like a huge miss. And we've got Ndembe, who was playing and lost his job to Ben Sweat. And now we brought in another dude.
Ndembe's hurt.
I know, but what is Ndembe's role this year?
We don't know because he's hurt.
But we spent money to get Tim Leibold, and he lost his job last year to Ben Sweat. So is he second or is he third? Either way, we spent how much on a transfer fee and how much in a salary outlay for a guy who's not going to play. It's a miss.
No, I mean, I think they brought in Leibold. Was Leibold a lot of money? I don't think that was necessarily like a major signing. I think they saw they weren't
free.
confident in Ben Sweat, and so they had one player in
He's
Logan
free, but
Ndembe.
he's getting what, 700,000 in salary?
Yeah,
something
right.
like that?
So then they got another left back. We needed 2. They don't like Ben Sweat. So it was Ben Sweat and Logan Ndembe, and then Ndembe got hurt, and so now there's 3 on the roster.
We just go back to our sponsor this session. For this
Left back temp agency.
Hey, Voloder was better last night, much better with his feet than he was the first game, which was improvement.
He was
He's
better.
a guy who I'm not giving up on Robbie in any way, shape, or form.
No.
I think he's got a lot of potential, and he's probably better as the left side guy than the right side guy, because we saw that with Fontes when he was on the right side. With Beasler, he really kind of sucked, and when he was on the left side, opinions may vary. People still think he sucks because he's slow, but he was way, way better. I think Robbie playing that left side role when they have somebody on the right that they trust more, being the new guy, Danny Rosero, or maybe even one of the other guys.
Did you hear Miola and Bucchetti last night? The feeling we got is the minute that Rosero is available, he will be on the field.
Which I don't really doubt.
Yeah.
But we have to see. I mean, Peter isn't always one that will throw somebody in the minute they're there. But
And the problem with Ben Sweat is he's not a good one-on-one or tactical defender.
Right.
Yeah, he's just beaten too easily.
Now he's great going forward, quite honestly. He's better than Logan is actually than in the time that we saw him last year. But they do
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's an arguable point, but I do think that Leibold will have that spot shortly, and what happens after that, who knows? I'm actually kind of surprised Leibold didn't start already, but we'll see about that
Saturday night.
And back to an earlier thing you said, like, I think a statement was our back line's terrible. I don't think it's terrible. I think it has a major hole right now, and that's at center back. With a replacement guy coming in, if Courtney Ford had been there, I think this would be a completely different story right now about how those first games would have went, at least as far as the shambolic defending in the first 15 minutes of each game.
Our midfield defending in this game was not near as good as it was last week, and that may have something to do with the game, like you said, David, being more wide open.
Right.
But Eric Tommy is the wild card out there. He doesn't play a whole lot of defense. So, I mean, that's a situation in the midfield that I don't know when Radoja comes in and Walter's up at the 8, how that's going to change. But he doesn't play a whole lot of defense, and he doesn't.
It has to improve. It has to be better at that point.
Yeah.
Done it?
Can we find Robert for that? Radoja?
Yeah, I was gonna let that one slide.
sorry.
You're lucky.
We're out of preseason.
Go
Give him a half fine.
The only way I can even get close is if I say the whole thing and like the Marinos Radoja.
Yeah, it's
There you
beautiful.
go.
Just half. We'll put it on a credit. We'll have a tab.
Do we have a?
he brought
we have a
money in.
little
He
machine.
brought
You can,
cash.
we need like one we can just tap. Like we need to be able to just tap our credit cards.
John Pulskamp, David.
I mean, was the best player for us last night. And as great as a lot of his shot stopping was, there were some problematic things from him too.
Thank you for saying that.
I saw some people online last night talking about him not commanding the box on crosses.
Yep.
I'm worried about his distribution with his feet, and he just hoofing balls out of bounds.
Oh, what are you talking about? He was the best connection to our striker of any other player, was the keeper.
As good as he was at the last 2 games at stopping some shots, and he was great. I can see a world in which Timmy comes back and takes the job back.
Yeah, see, I thought I was going to be like hating on another player here, and all of you were in support of him hard on that one. No, the shot stopping, you're right. Like, he has these moments where you can see why everyone loves him, why he has all of this potential. But it's just, I genuinely don't feel safe with him at keeper. It just feels like teams know that there's something there to knock at, like to put him under pressure. And if you keep whipping balls into the box right in that danger area, just out of reach, then he's going to get tested a lot. And yeah, it makes me nervous in all of those moments.
A 67.9 pass completion rate from a goalkeeper is not great.
No. I think part of that is being on the road and knowing how they pressure, but they were doing lots of the just kick it long out of the goal kicks. But I'm not in the anti-John thing by any means.
I'm not anti-John.
Oh, you are too.
I like Big
You're
Bear.
anti-keeper.
There you go. Yes, I am anti-keeper, Your Honor.
To fix the game of soccer in America, just get rid of the goalkeepers.
Yes. There'd be a lot more scoring.
Yes. Why does one guy get to use his hands anyway? What are we doing? How did someone come up with that?
Or just have two keepers.
Ooh.
And getting each other's way, and
so
there'd be a lot more head injuries.
It'll be interesting to see. Tim, or when Tim first started playing for Sporting, he was a shot stopper who was not great with his feet, and he really improved.
That's a good point.
Right.
He really improved. So I do think,
and he was older than John is now.
That's the other thing. John's only 21.
Not many humans on the planet have the discipline that Tim Melia does.
I think what will be interesting to see is, last year before Tim got hurt, his shot stopping took a step back.
It did.
Was that a one-time thing? Is that an aberration, or is Father Time starting to catch up to him? But is a worse shot stopping Timmy, but better with his feet, better at distribution, more commanding of the box, maybe a better communicator? Is that better than Pulskamp, who might be better at making saves, but worse at the other things?
So okay. Tim last year when he was at his best versus John right now, who do you start?
Tim.
I think you're being a freaking hypocrite.
Tim wasn't at his
You're
best.
the one that's calling for all these other guys to play when they're not as good. Pierre, Johnny, etc.
I was just about to do
and
this.
you're now saying it's the opposite for Tim and John. Why is that? What do you have against Big Bear?
Yeah,
man?
what happened to instead of playing the best players every game, it's a throwaway season. Let's play the kids, right?
Well, this isn't a throwaway season. We've played 2 games. So I think
you were the one saying that.
I think Tim is a better player than John. I think John has potential to be very good. I think
he needs games.
And he does. I think when
At
Tim
this
comes
level.
back, I would play Tim. And how this correlates to all the other players is, if Johnny's healthy, Johnny should play over every other winger because he is that much better than everybody else. If Johnny was not healthy, then I would rather see Johnny's play over Khiry. Roger should not be starting. And so I would rather see Felipe play over Roger and Roger be a sub, but neither one is supposed to be a starter on this team. That's supposed to be Remy's spot. So it's very easy to reconcile all these things. I'm not a hypocrite. You're not going to twist me into a pretzel in this intellectually.
Lawyered.
Thaddeus.
The point is that these things are
I
cumulative.
think I already did.
That's what
And
you're
made you
saying.
defend it.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a better left back or better center back distributor than we currently do, your goalkeeper becomes a better distributor. If you have a better holding midfielder who can receive and distribute, we have a better goalkeeper that distributes because of all those multiple effects.
And if you have 2 guys that are supposed to be playing center back in their correct positions, everything gets better. Everything is a knock-on effect, a waterfall of little issues that go across which just killed the team last year. I think it's still hurting the team right now with the various injuries and guys not being where they're supposed to be, et cetera. But it should be better this year than it is. And we'll see if it's going to be better when they get this could be very much a situation that in the next game, Willy puts in a goal and all of a sudden everything goes, oh, everybody can shoot now. Well, we've seen that happen before. We've seen it also just stay terrible.
Well, I have to throw this out here. People getting despondent about Sporting is as off point as people getting so excited about St. Louis City is.
Completely agree.
They suck.
We're some St. Louis haters here for sure.
Piss off.
Sure, they look whatever. They got a good video of their tifo. Everyone in the stadium held up a sign. Good job.
Yeah, their pizza still sucks.
You still have Uno's pizza.
I like Emo's Pizza, but I do kind of jokingly call them the St. Louis Square Cuts.
I thought it was Emo's.
It is Emos.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you called it Unos?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not worth knowing.
I disrespected its name.
All right.
Hey, I'm glad St. Louis is in the league, and I want them to do okay. But come on,
I am
people.
too.
They have one goal from open play. Come on.
They've
I
gotten
want
very
justice for
lucky.
Sacramento.
A lot of expansion teams either terribly suck at the beginning or have a lot of run of luck at the beginning, and they're having that run of luck right now.
Major.
Two
lot
gifted
of
goals, 2 penalties, and an own goal.
One penalty.
And
then one horribly defensive play on one of their goals.
All right, let's move on.
LA Galaxy next week, Saturday.
Galaxy got pounded.
Home opener.
Got pounded by Dallas last night. Their U22 scored a goal to start things, and then they gave up 3.
I saw they got a lead at the beginning. I didn't see that final score, though.
3-1.
Yeah.
Is 3-1 a pounding?
If you were to watch the second half, LA was not. They weren't in it. They were a playoff team last year. They didn't lose a whole lot. They've got talent, and they have a good coach.
Ricky Pig.
Somehow have Ricky Pooch.
Hell of a player.
Somehow have him. They got him in as not a DP last year. I think he's a DP this year.
Yes.
They've got attacking talent. They've got some guys in the midfield who are really good.
Because we know Galaxy know how to manipulate a contract.
They very much do. But I think they're pretty suspect at the back. I think they're going to struggle to keep the ball out of the net this year.
And this is a perfect match for Sporting.
And LA just signed a new back, didn't they? Did he play at all?
Asking questions he doesn't have answers
Doesn't
to.
look like it.
That's right. So will we see Nemanja Radoja?
I
hope
think
so.
we see him. I just don't know where it'll be. On the bench?
Will he be on the pitch? Not just. I mean, we might see him in the stands. Will he actually play? Will he be available to play?
Man, I don't know.
What was his
I thought he would
status
at
this
least
week?
be.
Healthy scratch.
I thought he would at least be on the bench this game over somebody who we knew probably wouldn't come in unless there was a major injury. But he wasn't. And I don't know why. I've seen him in practice last week, and he looked fine. So maybe it's just got to get him up to speed. I don't know. I was hoping we'd see him at least a little bit.
Still no Johnny, at least as far as we know, right? We're not expecting him.
No. Last thing from Vermees was not 3 months.
Yeah, they won't put him on the field till he's fully ready to go.
What about Polito? We're going to see Polito off the bench, his glorious return in the home opener.
I would not be
I like the idea.
surprised. It was really good to see him in practice last week, but he wasn't necessarily very impressive in practice last week. You see Polito doing Polito things, but just not as good as Polito. So.
Cody, I think we should play a game.
Based upon a question we'd had in the last pod, David has come up with a game that he wants to challenge you with. David?
I don't like where this is going.
So, Cody.
Do you feel attacked, Cody?
This game is called Current, Former, Neither. And I'm going to read to you a name.
So you guys are you're making fun of my forgetting of former and current players. This is what you're poking at here.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We would never do that.
So I'm gonna name a player.
By the way, I have nothing to do with this, Cody.
Is this okay? Thank you, Robert. Is this SKC 2 players?
No.
Okay, good.
So
I had nothing to do with this either.
Well, here's the thing. I'm gonna name you a person, and you tell me if they are currently on the roster, if they were formerly on the roster, or if they have never been on the roster.
Are they all real people?
Yes, they are.
Okay. I'm gonna be better at this than you think.
Okay. You ready to start?
And I want to challenge myself to know this too.
Me too.
Okay. Well,
We're all in
two
on
will
this.
do just fine. We're gonna start easy.
I am.
Do we need some music? Should I find music for this?
We're gonna start easy. Roger Espinoza.
Roger currently plays for this team.
Okay, good job. Okay. See, we got to ease you into it.
He's also a former player.
Chris Klein.
Chris Klein formerly played for the Wizards.
Good job. Okay.
Did you notice Miola calling the team the Wizards last night pretty often? Anyway.
He did, really? I didn't hear that. This is gonna get rough though.
James Milner.
No, James Milner did not play for Sporting Kansas City.
Who do you play for?
My Citizens, baby. Boring James Milner, one of my favorite players.
Jorge Claros.
That is a no.
Never played for Sporting? Is that your answer?
That's my final answer.
Wrong.
What era? When? I know that name. I just
2014.
Yeah, not that long ago. He was
Claros, right? I think you said his name wrong. That's why I got that.
Honduran national team player. Sucked for Sporting.
Ozzy Cisneros.
Ozzy is a player for this. Wait, it's something other Cisneros. No, it's
okay.
Ozzy Cisneros.
There's two. I've got two Cisneros.
Ozzy
Juan Cisneros or Ozzy Cisneros. Which one plays for Sporting?
Juan is a contributor to the Blue Testament. Ozzy is a current player. Doesn't he play for Sporting KC too, or he's just another Jake Davis that sits on the bench and doesn't do anything?
He's a homegrown who played one game
Doesn't
last
take
year.
up much room on the salary.
But he was hurt in the stupid League Cup game or whatever that was.
Antonio Dovale.
Ooh, Tony Dovale, one of my all-time favorites. Yeah, that was a Sporting KC player. Not here very long.
No, but Cody was a Tony Dovale stan.
Yes, I was a stan.
Do you know where he is now? He's still playing.
He's got to be in like La Liga 2 or something like that.
He's in like the Spanish 4th division.
Yeah.
For like some team I've never heard of. Okay. Well, you did better than I expected.
Yes, I survived those. I was getting really nervous. You could have made that much harder on me.
I could have made that much, much harder.
You should have made that much harder. I mean, really, his major miss was Jorge Claros.
Yeah, I feel like others will get that one
Wasn't
wrong.
bad though.
Sony Mustavar.
Sony Mustavar, I remember him. Didn't play much.
He was a starter for a full season.
Yeah, he played a lot.
He did the whole season. He did. He was a left back, right back,
Defensive mid.
6.
No. Yeah, that's right. He was one of those that didn't work out there in the 6.
Actually, he played pretty well. He was much more of a destroyer 6 than a
right. But it was in that period after Uri.
Yes,
where we could never find someone until.
How about Stefan Alvarez?
Okay, no, the game is done. I won this
round.
I
was going to throw out some
Save
myself.
It for
Yeah, no, I think pile on.
You can't just pile on because I did well. You can destroy me another time, okay?
Tommy Fox.
I'm not playing the game. That's for the next round.
Keep going.
I nailed it. I did well.
Eric Kronberg.
Kronberg was a player here. That was a keeper.
Ooh,
you know what his nickname was?
Chronic.
Yes.
Federico Basson.
I'm done with this game.
Hold on. No, this is a good one. Federico Basson.
I'm done with this game. I don't know the answer to that one. Sporting.
Don't seem so tough. And 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Supporters strong and all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin. Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.